Welcome to China Truths. In this episode, we will bring you the following story. Beijing retaliates against US chip ban, experts say it backfires. Now, let's dive into the details. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Beijing retaliates against US chip ban, experts say it backfires. On December 2nd, the Biden administration announced a new ban restricting the sale of advanced semiconductor manufacturing equipment and high-bandwidth computer memory to China. The ban targets the production of advanced node semiconductors. In response, Beijing announced on December 3rd a prohibition on exporting critical minerals with military applications to the United States. Experts believe the U.S. ban strikes at the core of China's semiconductor industry, while China's countermeasures are limited and could inadvertently push the West to establish independent supply chains. According to U.S. government sources, the new restrictions add 136 Chinese entities to the Commerce Department's entity list, including over 20 semiconductor companies and more than 100 semiconductor equipment firms. These measures target 24 types of semiconductor manufacturing equipment and 3 types of software tools used for semiconductor development or production. Most newly listed companies are closely tied to SMIC, or Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, China's largest chip foundry, and Huawei's supply chain. Notably, Nora Technology Group, a major semiconductor equipment firm, is also on the restricted list. The primary focus of the U.S. export controls is advanced node chips and their manufacturing equipment. These chips, with transistors as small as 3 nanometers, offer higher information processing capabilities by packing more transistors into a single chip. Advanced node chips work optimally with high-bandwidth computer memory. The U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, BIS, announced that the latest export controls aim to weaken China's ability to produce advanced node semiconductors for next-generation weapons systems, artificial intelligence, or AI, and high-performance computing technologies. Wang Xiuwen, an assistant researcher at Taiwan's Institute for National Defense and Security Research, said that this is likely the Biden administration's final round of sanctions against China, directly targeting semiconductor equipment, China's weakest point. The U.S. seeks to delay China's progress in advanced technologies, buying time and securing a technological edge. China's rocket force conducted its first intercontinental ballistic missile test over the Pacific during the UN General Assembly in September. Wang noted that the U.S. has explicitly sought to curb China's advancements in quantum technology, AI, and semiconductors. Unless China develops new generation chips or technologies, its progress will remain stalled. China's demonstrations of military and technological capabilities only reinforce the legitimacy of U.S. sanctions. Biden's small yard, high fence policy focuses on slowing China's development in key emerging fields like advanced semiconductors and AI. Over the past 2 years, the U.S. has imposed 3 rounds of chip bans on China. In October 2022, the U.S. restricted China's access to advanced computing chips, supercomputing development, and advanced semiconductor manufacturing capabilities. In 2023, the bans expanded to include performance density restrictions, requiring export licenses for high-performance hardware. The latest ban includes high-bandwidth memory, or HBM, architecture technology. HBM technology restrictions could become a new bottleneck for China's AI development, as the demand for high-performance AI chips surges. Su Tsuyun, director of Taiwan's Institute for National Defense and Security Research's Strategy and Resources Division, said the sanctions target mature processed chips rather than traditional high-tech applications. These measures could disrupt China's industrial manufacturing stability and quality. The sanctions effectively lock China into mature process technologies, which will gradually shrink, Su said, predicting the full impact will become evident in 2 years. After the U.S. announced the new sanctions, China's Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Foreign Affairs accused the U.S. of abusing export control measures under the pretext of national security and vowed countermeasures. On December 3rd, China's Ministry of Commerce announced bans on exports of dual-use items to the U.S. for military purposes, including gallium, germanium, antimony, and ultra-hard materials. Export controls on graphite were also tightened. China is the world's largest producer of gallium and germanium, which are used in semiconductor manufacturing, electric vehicles, and high-tech industries. However, experts say China does not hold a monopoly on these resources. Wang Xiaowen pointed out that China's immediate response, such as advising against purchasing U.S. chips and tightening controls on dual-use exports, suggests the U.S. sanctions have hit a critical point in China's semiconductor and high-tech development. She argued that China's options to counter the U.S. are limited. Restricting rare earth and dual-use exports will only push the U.S. to find alternative sources or develop substitutes, rendering China's countermeasures ineffective in the long term. China has few countermeasures in technology against the U.S. Its ultimate threat would be selling off U.S. Treasury holdings. As for replacing the dollar with the yuan, that requires either significant time or a major economic collapse in the U.S. Before that happens, China's economy is more likely to collapse first, she said. Su Tsuyun remarked that China's retaliation could harm itself more, as Western democracies have already prepared for rare earth supply chain issues. China affairs expert Wang Yi stated that Beijing's countermeasures are limited and counterproductive. Past rare earth restrictions pushed the West to reduce reliance on China, eroding its advantage. Restricting dual-use items now will only accelerate the U.S.'s efforts to build an independent supply chain, making China shoot itself in the foot, he said. Donald Trump is set to begin his second term as U.S. president next month. Experts predict Trump will adopt even tougher technology policies against China. Wang Xiaowen said Trump prioritizes U.S. interests above all and is unlikely to be softer on China than Biden. Beyond military conflict, the Trump administration may escalate trade wars, technology battles, and financial confrontations. China's high-tech development will face significant challenges under Trump, slowing down further despite some progress, she noted. Su Tsuyun added that Trump has various tools to curb China, including reducing the U.S. trade deficit, which would severely impact Beijing. Wang Yi noted that China has launched a comprehensive challenge against the U.S. in technology, dividing the global high-tech market. Continuous sanctions aim to curb China's illicit chip acquisitions. As Beijing tries to bypass sanctions, the U.S. will tighten controls further. This cycle will continue, with Trump's administration likely to follow the same approach, he concluded.